So I am getting started a little early, but I wanted to just welcome you along my little journey. So just a little bit about me. I have over a decade of cleaning experience. I started cleaning for a friend of mine who actually was a homeschool mom. She had just adopted 3 kids, along with her kids that she already had, and she needed a little bit of help. And it just happened to be really good timing because I had just put my own kids into public school right out of homeschooling myself. And I guess I would consider myself a serial entrepreneur because I love starting businesses. So I built that company just out of solo cleaning into having 16 employees in 2 different states. I was running one of those remotely, and then I had a tragedy in my family, and I decided I needed to be a more of a mom and not so much of a boss. Oh, sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth. Been having a little bit of a cough, and I think it might be a little bit more of the allergies and stuff. Oh, so Cassandra just came on. Anyways, out of my
recording in progress.
All right, so we are doing YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom recording right now. Just trying to get everything out there. Cassandra is a dear friend of mine, and I actually was cleaning for her for a time period, and then she started cleaning for me as an employee. So she has a very interesting perspective to cleaning in general. So what I was saying earlier, out of my employee business, my company, came 5 other companies, and soon to be 6. We're working on coaching one of my old employees again into owning his own business, his wife business. So I'm really looking forward to their success. Cassandra, do you have the ability to unmute yourself and do video? It's on the left side.
Hold on, really fast. For some reason, my site doesn't want to let me do videos. So.
That's all right. So Cassandra not only was an employee where she cleaned, but she also, once I moved into Montana from Colorado, I needed somebody to take care of the bids and consultations, and she did a really amazing job of that. So I'm going to kind of dive into that with her a little bit. Going to get her perspective on the mindset around that. I know that was really kind of almost stressful for her. Let's see here. I'm going to close this one.
Just trying to find a good spot.
Okay. Hey, girlie. How's your day?
Hey. Long.
Long? Yeah. You have your hands full, girlfriend.
Yeah.
You got 4 of your own and a 5th coming. So, tell everybody a little bit about, what was your thought process? Because I understand, having 4 kids, yeah, you're going to want to have a house cleaner and stuff, but what possessed you to go, hey, you know what? I think I want to start cleaning too. That's not a normal shift for a lot of people. So
I think I was just kind of ready for to kind of exit my at-home mom, stay-at-home mom stage, and I kept just trying to think of what can I do to get out of the house that would allow me to have the schedule though to still be a mom and still be present in my kids' lives. Not have to work all the time, not be full time, but still be something that would get me out of the house. And so I think I just came to the realization you were at my house and you were telling me how you needed more cleaners. And I had the light bulb go off of, hey, I think I could do this.
Yeah. You're very good at it.
It wasn't something I recognized at the time of something I was capable of. It was more like, maybe this would be good for me to learn. I'm not super, at the time I wasn't super organized, and all the baby years had kind of compiled into this conglomerate of chaos in my home, and yeah, so it kind of just really placed a lot of benefit for me to learn, not only to provide income, but a mindset that allowed me to uphold a tidy home, a maintained home.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so you did the employee thing for a while, but we were just talking the other day about how, like, even now with your kids being what it is, like, it changed how you maintain your own home and stuff. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think I realized how easy it was to maintain once things were clean, and to be okay with teaching my kids at an early age. It wasn't something I knew how to teach them at the time, because at that time I couldn't even have the mental capacity to like know what to tackle first myself. And so at that point, when now that we're here, I have the tools to go, okay, so we're gonna break it down. Especially I have a kiddo who has ADHD, who struggles with that executive function of like looking at a mess and going, hey, where do I start? And he just kind of panics and sits there in his room. So being able to just teach him now at that 10-year-old age, of how to just pick one task at a time. Finish that one task, move on to the next. How to just break it down so it doesn't feel so overwhelming to our brains. I think we think feeding has to be this complex thing, and it is very simple. It's very methodical, and if we have those methods in place, it becomes a breeze of a time instead of 3 hours.
Are you telling me that I made cleaning a breeze for you? That's insane.
It's not an easy part. I love doing it all the time, but when I look at a bathroom, it's not, oh my gosh, it's gonna take me 5 hours to clean. Where do I start? It's, okay, I'm gonna go do this first, and I can tackle it a lot quicker, and if I'm maintaining it throughout the week, then things don't get as messy, and it's not as bad as the deep clean.
Yeah. So, I remember, so cleaning has its positives and its negatives. And I know with you having, I hope you don't mind if I share this, a little bit of asthma, what are some of like negative things that you just absolutely hated about working as, in cleaning, or even just, and if that's not like, floating your boat, give me some of the things you really did like about like actually doing it as a job with your...
Right. So I think one of the negatives for anyone is it's dusty, right? So even if you don't have asthma or you struggle with allergies, it can trigger longer on a little bit, but you kind of learn to just cope with it, obviously. And then some of the positives, right? That's what you were asking.
Mm-hmm.
I loved getting to like we cleaned in pairs. So I loved getting to chat with that other person while we were kind of prepping and divvying up the areas of what we're gonna do, and getting to know the client, getting to know there's purpose behind what you were cleaning for, not just because they didn't want to take the time, but a lot of the times it was busy moms who felt the same way and were in the middle of sports or working a full-time job, and giving them that sense of relief and peace in their home made it to where there was this purpose outside of it just being clean. I think the mental aspect of knowing you're providing that peace for everyone.
It's more than a job. It's more than an income.
Yeah.
For me anyways, it was fulfilling. And now, I mean, even coaching other people to build their own businesses, to me, that's my calling, because I can only clean for so many people. Even if I had employees, I can only, probably serve around 300 people, or clients.
Yeah.
With coaching, that's like I teach and they teach and they teach and they teach, big thing. And so there is nothing like knowing that the visual calm, the sometimes the sanitization of their home with people that are immune deficient, all of those different things. Right now I'm really niching into the type of client that is retired.
Right.
The type of person that's already clean for 30 years, right? And they're like, I'm done. I have issues, carpal tunnel. I'm out. Flying my white flag. Just do it for me, kind of people. And I love them. But there is a real fulfillment in that. But I mean, being a busy mom, how did that work out? Like, did it work well with your guys' schedules, or?
Yeah, it actually worked great with our schedules, because the way that you would allow things to work, obviously, within your company, is that I could start when my kids went to school. So I dropped them off at like 7:40, 8 o'clock, and getting to the house, and even with like a good half-hour break in between or lunch or something like that, I was still done by 3 and could go pick them up. So like, it didn't get in the way of the extracurricular activities. It didn't get in the way of family dinner time. It didn't get in the way of me being able to do homework with them, or even make a good healthy meal, because I had plenty of time when I got home. Yeah, it worked amazingly well, and I don't think I would ever work a 8 to 5 job again, and I don't right now either. So, yeah, the flexibility to be present in my home is super important to me. So,
Tell me a little bit, when we transitioned you into the consultations and stuff, and I know that was not like a natural, like, oh, I am a sales guru and I love this. Like, I remember there was a lot of like nervous energy built around that, but you got very like, hey, this may or may not be my perfect client, and I'm just gonna go in, see if we are. If we're not, you know what? Still, it is what it is. Tell me about like the consultations that we did, and how you. I know this is digging a little bit for you, like into the recesses of your brain, because it's been a little bit. But like, tell me a little bit about the things that you found, like that was the favorite things about those consultations, but even maybe the things that you didn't like at all.
Right. I think consultations, I feel like, were probably the most challenging. And it's not because the cleaning aspect isn't physically hard, but there's almost this mental difficulty to it where you have to like take the time to comprehend and ask all the questions that your clients may be telling you, but they're not verbally saying. So, like, you can do a consultation having them just be like, I'm really picky. And then you're just like, is this gonna be a good fit? Because if you're that picky, you know, are we ever gonna fulfill what you're looking for then? You know? I think that was the hardest part. The other one is just trying to fit in the budget where they want to stay and the time that really is needed for what they're wanting. And then having to say, hey, this isn't quite fitting, so how do we cut back, you know, a little bit, or are you willing to go up a little into your budget? You're dealing with money, and I think that's where it gets hard. People don't love to talk about money. And that marriages, even when you're dealing with couples and stuff like that, they don't always agree. So then they're trying to have like this side conversation. At which sometimes I would just offer to like, do you need to step out for a minute and you guys can discuss this. I think those are the hardest parts. It's like, just, you really have to read people and you have to learn how to read people. And learn how to do things in a manner that's professional, yet consistent.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. See, like I would never hire or get a client without a consultation. I don't recommend it ever. Like putting yourself in that position where you didn't meet this person and going into their home. First of all, there's like a safety issue, not, you know, but going in and doing a consult, we would do consults based on task, and so we would really just be able to customize based on any one of their priorities. And sometimes people are like, I want the Lexus of cleanings and I want it at a, you know, Subaru price, please. And you're gonna go like, well, okay, so apparently, you know, having those heated seats is important. You know, for example, you know, having your blinds cleaned or whatever, your oven cleaned is really important to you, but maybe, you know, you don't need that bathroom cleaned every time, so let's just, you know, let's alternate that, or, you know, different things like that. And, you know, you would go in there and you would say, hey, this is not a hourly rate type situation, because honestly, the service industry on an hourly rate, what I can do with a couple shots of espresso and 10 years of experience compared to, you know, one of my brand new, you know, employees that has only had a week of training, doesn't compare. So, like, you can't say, yeah, of course, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna do an hourly rate. You know, the people are like, yeah, you know, those are the people that want that cheaper chicken, and that is not the type of person that, you know, you want to work for, because we found that, right? They were the type of people that were like, oh my goodness.
They were almost stingy, and they had almost like critiqued everything.
Yeah, they did the white glove test on everything, and it's not like that's a big deal, because like for what I'm coaching the solo cleaner who can do that amazing freaking job. And like, okay, I have a client right now where I double mop her kitchen dining room area. Okay. Yeah. So that was the first time I was like, you know, I haven't had a re-clean in so long. Huh. And I thought I did an amazing job. I spent almost twice the amount of time there that first time. And the second time she called me back, she goes, hey, there are some spots on my floor, and I know that this isn't fair because the evening light comes in, like she has an entire wall of like windows, okay? And I missed some spots because my first question was, okay, is it like, you know, like, is it dusty, like gritty, like I didn't vacuum well, or is it like stuck on spots? And she's like, you know, those are really good questions, but no, it's really is that stuck on spot type stuff. And I'm like, she has one of those floorings that's like perfect for hiding stuff. Not only is it got its ridges, and then the coloring is just perfect for hiding stuff. So I'm like, okay, I have to have time to double mop your house because there's no way, like I didn't see it. And I'm coming in the morning and she's getting home in the evening, you know, after she's been to work, and then she's taken her kids to their extracurriculars, and it's just this evening light, and I'm like, okay, I've got to double mop your thing. But trying to do that with employees, it's not gonna happen, you know. But I know that let's see here, trying to come up with my, you know, brain and stuff on consults and stuff, but what was one of like, give me a story of like the worst consult ever, and I'll give you one of mine.
Ooh. Trying to remember.
Okay, you know what? You do yours. You're thinking about yours. I just had this one. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to share this. Okay.
I know.
So I had this consult, and I had already done the, you know, screening call. She says she's desperate. She's going to do whatever it takes. She needs this right now. Please come. And I'm like, hey, I'm not the cheapest chicken in town. Please just realize that. And she goes, okay, but I have this dog, and it's a mess. He slobbers all over. He is one of those really big, oh goodness, now I'm going to forget the breed of dog. Beethoven.
Like
with,
a mastiff.
yeah, with the really big jowls, and like he just naturally slobbers. And
Yes.
when I say this house had slobber spots up to like maybe 4 feet throughout the house, it was everywhere. It was on her cupboards. It was in her bathroom. It was on the, you know, hallways. And I'm like, oh Lord, because that particular type of issue is, you know, I use crud cutter for like anything that's like that.
Right.
I would have had to literally spray it on, let it sit for 10 minutes, and scrub with an actual brush, which may have actually injured the paint. And I was like, lady, I love that this is something you want to do, but you may want to just actually put it on a layer of primer and just paint over this because it might be cheaper. And I gave her the bid, and she's like, oh, okay, you may go. Like, she didn't even like, and I tried to explain, I'm like, I can come and do a very small portion of this every time, but she was like, no, I just want this one time. And I'm like, what good is that going to do? Your dog is going to continue to do this, you know, slobber thing. But, you know, she had a physical injury where she couldn't do it herself. And I was like, well, you know, you could make it an outside dog. I mean, there's nothing. But she literally was like, okay, you may go.
See you later.
She just was like, you know, I had prepped her. I'm like, hey, this isn't cheap. Wall washing is one of my highest, you know, expense things. And we're talking, you know, move in, move out cleans. I've done it all, you know, 15-foot ceilings, like all of that stuff, prepping for painting, you know, that kind of stuff. But the dogs, I mean, I've done even urine cleanup from, you know, stuff like that. But I mean, this was the one where she's like, yeah, we're not a good fit. I was like, okay, sorry.
Right.
So,
I mean, I think you have good and bad consultation. expectations, and like you said, not everybody's for you. You're not always a good fit. So there's been a fair amount of times where I went in, you've had the pre-screening call, you've done it, yeah, this may not be a good fit, we kind of already know for the most part, if possible. And they just don't want to maybe rotate things or negotiate what's important. They just want it, what they want, and they want it at a price. And if you don't fit it, you don't fit it. So learn to take it not personally at all. You do get rude people sometimes.
Yeah. You're not selling yourself, you're selling a service, and like that like removal of that, one of the gals that I have coached, that's something that she's really having to deal with, is that she can't get in front of this person and have them say no because they're saying no to her personally, and she hasn't removed that, away, because the race to the bottom in cost, it doesn't help anybody. It really doesn't. Like 9 out of 10 cleaning companies that start
if you're not making anything, if you're not making anything off of the cleaning, then what is the purpose, right? Like it doesn't. As much as it's fulfilling to let them see what they want out of their cleaning, there has to be a payoff there, and that's what every service is, right?
Yeah.
If there's not a payoff there of that, then what's the purpose?
Okay. All right. So we've been chatting for a while. I have a question. Okay. Coming from a mom standpoint, okay, what advice would you give the mom out there, knowing that they don't have time to focus on their own well-being? Would you recommend them starting a residential cleaning company or, solo cleaning? Or do you just be like, you know what, I've done other, I think, honestly, what would you recommend?
I would say go for it. Go for it. I mean, if your kids are old enough and you don't need a babysitter and they're all in school, what's holding you back? As much as it's a physical workout, good for you, right? You don't have to sit there in front of a video or on a treadmill forever. You're moving around. There's a purpose you're achieving in that, and then you get to pop in a headphone. And that was probably my favorite thing, is I could listen to the podcast I wanted to listen to, or listen to an audiobook, or whatever music I felt like for that day, or process even all the amazing things that happen with life, the good and the bad, and it gave time for me to clear my head, and I think I became healthier mentally and physically in cleaning houses because I came to my own home for a little bit, and all the things nagging me weren't there. And then I could go home, and those things were still there, but I had the energy mentally and physically to tackle. It's fulfilling. You're providing an income. Maybe even if your husband is a great breadwinner, you're providing a little extra so that those ice cream trips and those, oh no, my kid outgrew it, in 2 weeks I need another pair.
Yeah, mine right now is my son's shoes got chewed up by the dog, so.
Oh, yeah. I had Ashley grow, my 8-year-old grow a shoe size, like overnight. Like I don't know if he just really didn't realize his were too small. But the next morning, he was like, oh, I can't put this on. So yeah, those little financial goals, the things you want to tackle, that maybe you feel guilty for getting your hair done. And look, like there's this little bit of income you're now providing, and you don't have to feel guilty for taking a couple hours to go get your hair done or getting, just an iced coffee once a week. So I think if there's a lot of benefits to it.
Now there's a huge difference because you were only a W-2 employee, so your income versus like owning
Right.
is significantly different. Whereas the national average right now is around I want to say around $50 an hour. Granted, if you're doing 50, 30, 20, profit margins. Right now, I'm at a $47 an hour income where
Wow.
I do $60 an hour. Like, granted, I'm task-based. I am session-based. For example, today, one of my clients went an entire hour long. Longer than it should. But that's just my work time. I don't have, that kind of thing. But, like, I get what you're saying with your, like, oh, yes, that's helpful. That is, I'm talking to the type of people that have had that W-2, like, experience where they're like, hey, you know what, I kind of liked cleaning, but, the income's not so great. I've been doing and running this business profitably since like I said, it's decades, so 2014. So it's been kind of crazy to realize that I started at $15 an hour with my own business, but that was for me. I needed my own experience, and then I binge watched Grow My Cleaning Company, Ask a House Cleaner. Like, I binge watched every video out there. I read books on how to efficiently go through houses because my very first cleaning was a deep clean, and it took me 30 hours. 30 freaking hours to get through that house. And yeah, it was while they were all gone on spring break, but we're talking inside and outside of, cupboards in the kitchen, deep cleaning, 5 bathrooms, 5 bedrooms, 3 living rooms. So, I mean, it was a massive house, but I didn't know what I was doing. At that point, you're like, there's no way that that's something that people, like, no, it's gotta be better, like, way more efficient. I've got to figure this out. And so I guess that kind of now has benefited you, because now it's not taking you 30 hours to do your house.
Yes, it's not. And we grew our house, like, in the process of me working for you, we went from a smaller home to a bigger home with a good amount of square footage that we didn't have before. So, tackling a bigger home even now, I do a way better job than I did on my little home. So,
I love that. I love that.
Growth from that, yeah.
I remember one of the things you were saying when you were building this new house. You're like, I have seen every faucet, I have seen every fixture, and I know which ones clean fastest, and those are the ones I'm putting in. I mean, and I completely agree. There's definitely some fixtures where I'm like, for heaven's sakes, there are so many little details, like, I gotta take out a toothbrush and, no. And my kids throughout this decade, they think I'm insane. When we clean, it's a lot different than when I clean at somebody else's house. But if I clean my own house, I put a consultation paper together for coaching my house, and it was a 6.5 hour house, and I was like, no wonder, like, that's a little bit of a large home for anybody who's done cleaning. on a bi-weekly basis, even if I had taken that and like customized it and I'm like, hey, I want half of that. I mean, seriously, still. But yeah. So, what is your, like, tell me, I know that you gained that, like, cleaning experience and you had a little bit of, like, this sales experience and stuff. What have you taken with you, moved forward, other than those two things out of that? Because you were with me for quite a while.
Yeah. I think I learned there's a lot of organization, a lot of good life lessons of like, I don't want to be that super person. And there's also just a good amount of confidence boost that comes with it. I know that probably sounds a little weird, but I think accomplishing and growing and finding your strengths and your weaknesses and things helps you just not be afraid to try new things. It doesn't, you're not held back by things anymore.
Yeah.
So it was a jump out of my comfort zone. Especially because you had been cleaning for me. So that was funny because I went from you cleaning for me and me thinking, I don't know if I could do this, to me then becoming a cleaner.
And then the trainer. Yeah.
And then a trainer, and then like moving up, and you're like, oh, okay, there's like this whole other side to me outside of being a mom that I didn't realize was there. There's a lot of people skills gained in what you do too, which has helped a lot. I think with talking to people, you know how to read them and how to word things in a way that become just better articulated, better worded. It's changed a ton of things for me, honestly. So
Cool. I love to hear that. You were also, now that I was thinking about it, I'm like, you were also in charge of group group interviews to hire as well. So you had to read people, because what we did was on Zoom, kind of situation, and from there, then we would meet in person over coffee, and then they would have their first day where not only had they gone through the group interview, the one-on-one interview, but then they went through the first day, where if they're like, hey, this isn't for me, done good, and the other cleaners that they cleaned with could also give a yay or nay on it. I remember one time we had a gal who was just having a terrible day, and she threw up, and we gave her a second chance, but she didn't show up for it, like, kind of thing. And it was just, we had gone through the different steps, but you never really know these people in a like Zoom way until you really can be side by side with them. And you really, I think there's something really about the vibrations of the authenticity and what they're giving out. I've done so much studying on that lately that it's just it's not just active listening, but there is like an actual like, are we jiving kind of thing. So, but
or you can fit into what we want. You know, every company is so different, and the core values and the things you were looking for were for career company only. And so if they didn't fit that, then you had the right to say this isn't a fit. And that's a fun part of having your own business, is you get to say,
yeah,
that's not my core value.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
after something else.
Yep. I really did. And honestly, I really never had I had maybe one or two, and I think we were hiring 4 cleaners a month. We had a really high turnover rate. We were hiring during COVID 2021, 22, and there's still a really high turnover rate with 11 million job availabilities right now. And I guess that's another reason why, where I'm like, hey, you want a business, this one is not going away. AI is not going to take over residential house cleaning. It's just not. It may take over cleaning at Walmart, have the little, floor cleaners going on, but yeah, but not like it will really affect this particular business. So let's see here. I think that is about all I have. I do want to ask you, okay, knowing that you're kind of my bestie, so take that with a grain of salt, but when we first met, and you had just had a first few kids and stuff, and I had my young kids, and this was before I ever started cleaning, okay? I remember we're like, hey, let's get together. You're like, I don't think I want to go anywhere. Why don't you come over and have coffee? We would sit at the kitchen table, and I could see your stress level. You were looking around at your stuff that was just like, you wish you had gotten it done. And my kids were a little bit older than yours, because by the time I had been done having kids, you started having kids. And so
I was hurting, yeah.
Yeah. So I would sit there and be like, please sit. Will you allow me to, clean something? Just because I knew I had more energy and more emotional energy as well to help you out. So actually, our little relationship came full circle, because here I was being like, hey, let's have some coffee. I got my coffee drink. I had my caffeine boost, and I'm all like, hey, can I come and clean something for you? And I know that that's probably for some people that are like, I hate cleaning. Okay, building your own cleaning company probably isn't for you. But this was an act of love, and part of my love language is service. And I just remember that, because you're just like, are you sure? You just sit down, and I was like, if this makes you nervous, I'll sit down. But it's just, you're just like, okay.
I guess so.
That's the kind of weird I am. I get that. But,
No, I do remember that now, and I remember thinking, never gonna want to come over.
I did it a couple of times, though.
Here we are. Oh, yes. Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about, one of the things I gained from cleaning too was just, it's not as stressful anymore. And life happens, things get messy, and there's days I don't love cleaning, and I don't have to love it, but I think knowing it doesn't have to take me hours and hours and hours to tackle makes it so much more manageable. And I think that probably one of the most valuable things I have learned is it's easy to manage if you just know how to tackle it efficiently.
Yeah. So just I think I told you, but we're on both Facebook and YouTube. For anybody who's interested, you can go to Unbreakable-Life Facebook, YouTube. Unbreakable-Life YouTube, and there are all of the training videos that I put together for my previous employees there for you, breaking down how to clean as like a professional. And like I had mentioned earlier, I had a cleaning company in 2 different states. And so my training of my employees were to go through, and they're in like 2 minute to no more than 5 minutes, and then there's maybe like 2 or 3 that are 30 minutes. But altogether, there were like 40 hours worth of videos on there. And yes, some of them is going back over the same like topics and that kind of thing, just because I felt like if I could put it in a different light, that might help. So if you are on YouTube and you're seeing this, go through and maybe, hell, you might be able to get through your bathroom in less than an hour, you know, deep clean, even if it's been a year since you've cleaned it. So I know that that's what Cassondra is really trying to say here, is that you know, that's what she really valued from her time as you know, a W-2 job you know, cleaner. But yeah, I really want to encourage anybody that has the opportunity to go through those and add that strength in their back pocket to clean their own house if you can't afford it. If you can't afford it, hire it out. It'll give you about an extra 8 hours of freedom a week is what statistically it's proven to do. So that's significant. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna say sayonara to y'all. Yeah. And I will see who else I can bring on here, and I'm going to start doing more lives and imparting all of my knowledge from a decade of running a profitable residential cleaning company, both as a solopreneur, which I am now, and from an employee standpoint, or having employees. So don't hesitate to drop any questions in the comments, and I will talk to you later. See ya. Bye-bye.